are you licking my gobstopper?
Strike that. Reverse it.
Nazi punks! Lick my plate! Drainage!
It'll be 10 minutes where it's like a Steven Soderbergh Ocean's 11 movie. It's all slick and funny and stuff. Then just the most horrific shit imaginable happens.
It's because that's what the fucking movie's about, you asshole.
This fucking guy.
The Tree of Life is freaking awesome.
I'm sure you think it is.
Faded to black.
Oh, you are fucking this up.
Neon slime.
Gangster movie douchebag. Well, forget about it. Yeah, forget about
Been
it.
Cinematique, where I like, I like the sets and I like all that stuff.
What did you say? Cinematique?
I don't know.
Jared Leto, man.
You're the worst, dude. If you ever listen to this, Jared Leto, you are the fucking worst. I'd rather watch that dude, the English dude, who looks like he's not done yet.
This movie is the opposite of getting laid.
Thank you to all our listeners who have been listening to us for over a year now. Subscribe to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and any other platform that has podcasts. Visit our Patreon page, become a Patreon to get more additional content. Again, we appreciate you listening and keep watching those movies. Now, on with the show.
Can your heart stand the shocking facts about grave robbers from outer space?
Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Wall, Lee Bridges, and Garrick Lane, this is Tales from the Video Store. Greetings, my friends. We are all interested in the future, for that is where we will spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friends, future events such as these will affect you in the future. How many futures are used right there in those two sentences? You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. Well, then you're interested in Tales from the Video Store. How we doing? We are on number 76.
Good, man. What's up, buddy?
Well, nothing, man. So it's been a couple of weeks. We haven't been able to get on here. We've been kind of busy. Everybody's been kind of busy. But it's our last show of the sci-fi.
That it is.
And it was the best movie that we watched of all the blocks of all the shows. What do you think?
I think I knew you would say something as fucking stupid as that, but that's okay.
So anyway, for anybody that doesn't know, or anybody that hasn't been listening, this week we have done Plan 9 from Outer Space, Ed Wood's opus, his last movie, probably his best movie, if that's even
his most well-known, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's his best, but most
Best is
well.
a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
even
think it's the best time you got diarrhea.
Well, who wants to start us off about Ed Wood Plan 9 from Outer Space?
Garrick, this is your thing. I thought you would be all
That's
about...
fine. Well, I can do it. I just never do it. It's from 1959, and evil aliens attack Earth and set forth Plan 9 into action, where they, resurrect the dead from the Earth. And I don't think there's anything else to say. I don't think I need to give you a play-by-play. There's some shots where they're in the graveyard, and then there's some shots where they're in a spaceship, and then there's some shots where Bela's chasing somebody in the day, and then he's on the night. And, dude, quite honestly, the only part of this movie that I enjoy, and I don't even know why I enjoy it, is the saucers. And I think the reason I like the saucers is because they were literally created with fishing line
And like
painted,
a hubcap. Yeah.
and with a fishing lure hung over the screen. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool, I guess. I mean, like, that's the only part invented. I mean, really, the movie's it's a catastrophe from the first frame to the last. I think the title sequence is the coolest part.
Yeah.
The drone tombstones.
It's just, I had to look up the budget because I was really curious about the budget. And I saw $60,000 in 1959. And all I could say to myself is, how?
Right.
Where did the money go?
In 1959.
That's a large budget for what this is. You know, and you got Tor Johnson and Vampira and Bela Lugosi just wandering around grunting. You know?
I will say, Tor Johnson is the best actor in the movie, and he barely speaks English.
He says a couple of words before he becomes a zombie.
Right.
There's saucers over Hollywood and DC and those military clips which were stolen from, I guess, from World War II, or maybe from the Korean War. Just really odd. And then it's like, oh, hello, Dracula. What are you doing out here? Just kind of on the prowl. It looks like a $6,000 movie, not a $60,000 movie. But I will say this: I don't believe it's the worst movie ever made.
No, it's not.
Simply because of who made it and the heart that went into it.
The only reason you say that is because you watched the movie Ed Wood that told his story.
But
if
I
you
don't
never knew who he was, you would have never made it through this movie.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I've seen a bunch of bad movies. I mean, a ton of bad movies. And considering when it was made, you know, it's hard for me to say that's the worst of all time. I think the shots with Lugosi in it was more Ed wanting to pay tribute to his friend. And I think he kind of got off from kind of what the movie was probably originally supposed to be.
Just trying to pay homage.
Yeah, didn't it feel like that to you, or am I completely...
Oh, no, well, I mean, that's where I am with Ed, is, okay, so me wanting to make movies, man, I mean, he made 3 or 4. He made Bride of the Monster, he made Jailbait, he made Glen or Glenda. He managed to make movies. They were terrible, but he had a passion for it, and he went out and he figured out a way to do it. And yes, he was a raging alcoholic, and he was, and he was bouncing from, dollar to dollar, but he somehow managed to make a couple of movies, which is better than me. So, I commend his passion. I mean, that's why I can look at this movie and go, all right, well, it's horrible, but it was made with love and passion, you know what I mean? It was made.
Yeah, that's true.
He just was a terrible filmmaker. I think he was a very driven human being. He was just a terrible filmmaker. I mean, the detective, there was a detective in the movie, I don't even know if anybody noticed this, the detective that kept pointing the gun at himself? It was an actor. He was testing Ed Wood to see if he would even notice. He obviously didn't.
And he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he was. I don't think he was a good film director, but he somehow managed to put all this together, which is pretty commendable, I guess.
Yeah.
Lee, you were going to say something. I interrupted you.
He was like Rudy from the movie Rudy.
Yeah.
What if Rudy sucked, never played football?
Rudy did suck, and he really did never play
That's what I'm saying, but that scene at the end where they go lay down their jerseys?
Yeah.
If you cut that out, that's what Ed Wood was. No one would ever lay down their jersey for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were right. Another point is the footage of Bela Lugosi that Ed shot, he actually wrote the script around that footage.
Yeah.
To make that make all sense. So that
because I guess he died just like a couple of weeks into production, right?
Yes.
And I always thought they filmed it way before production. That they basically shot that after Bela got out of rehab just to keep him busy.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. But he didn't quite die. I think his health was failing. But I mean, the dialogue's horrible. I mean, it's a terribly written movie. However, he got it made.
Yeah. What do you think about it, River? First line, awful. Line 1, awful.
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of movies, but it's probably one of the worst ones I've seen.
Well, you haven't watched a lot of old movies. The old movies, man, they're differently. They're very different than this day and age.
Yeah. But it was like Dad said, it was bad edited. Well, I don't really know if they even edited it like right. Bad acted, because like the best actor, like he said, which was like the Tor Johnson guy, he didn't even talk half the time. He was like, ooh, and he sounded like some. It's just badly made. It's not one movie that I would watch again. I just can't deal with it anymore.
We could make this movie for not $60,000, not $6,000, not $600, $60. If you had a group of people that just wanted to do it.
I could make this movie with an iPhone in an afternoon.
Yeah. I could make it for $400, and $300 of that would be feeding everybody at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And I saw there was a modern remake that was on Amazon Prime, but I just couldn't bring myself to even attempt to watch it.
It's bad. I mean, it's bad. Let me ask you. Let's be honest here. Did everybody make it through?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's good. The screenplay was written in less than 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, I didn't think the story was the problem, really. Just the execution of it was very strange. You know, having these aliens come and dig up the dead and make zombies of it, if you could have done it on a grander scale, it might not have been so awful, but...
It's not the worst idea in the world.
That's what I'm saying, and
yeah.
But just, God, having that Vampira, I mean... She's got the tiniest waist on a human being I've ever seen in my entire life. Tor Johnson, I mean, like you said, Lee, he could barely speak English, but he probably was the best actor in this.
Yeah.
You know, when Bela, at this point in his life and his career, his glory days were long gone. And, he was definitely struggling with some demons from his past that kind of caused his drug addictions and what have you. But all that being said, I mean, I laughed a few times and I did get through it in one sitting. I didn't have to stop it or anything like that.
It's only an hour.
Yeah, it's like an hour.
And then on top of that, dude, it's colorized, which... Like on Prime, it was colorized, which totally sucks. Like, really, I don't want to see any film that was black and white.
Mine was black and white.
Was it?
Yeah.
Mine wasn't.
The one I watched colorized.
Yeah, it was one of the options, but
makes it even worse. But whatever.
Yeah. Why was it even?
I think it's in the public domain, so I think you can pretty much
do whatever you want with it. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the worst. It's one of the worst. I'll say, like, movies that we have highlighted. It's probably the worst one we've done.
It beat Prince of Darkness?
Oh, definitely. For sure. I mean...
Well, it is ranked number 12 in Entertainment Weekly's top 50 cult films of all time.
Yeah.
It's ranked number 12. So it's done something.
People like it because I think it is so bad. And it's not the only movie that's...
Oh, no.
Kind of gained that kind of cult following. But I can't imagine a scenario where I ever sit down and watch it again. I couldn't imagine sitting around and watching it more than just the one time. I think I saw it on, like, some channel when I was a kid, maybe. That's the last time I had seen it. I don't think I even watched all of it back then. One of the disappointing things is the sets, considering the time, it's like I saw better sets in movies made in the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s.
They were cardboard and they were falling over. People would brush by them in the graves.
They're knocking the paper gravestones down.
Johnson gets out of one of the graves and he has a hard time getting out, and the stuff is moving around.
Yeah.
And he kept it in there.
Yeah. Well, I think he was a one shot. He's like, all right, we got it.
Yeah.
You know.
But Mr. Wood, that's fine. So he's moving on.
Fine.
Let's move on. So is it a watch?
Rivers
Absolutely
vigorously
not.
shaking his head no.
Absolutely not.
Remember, Rivers he's the millennial or whatever that is.
That's true.
They don't have a say on anything.
That's true.
They can stick their nose in their phones and go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. They don't have an opinion.
Should this movie be, not something that you would necessarily recommend to somebody, but for filmmakers and lovers of cinema, is this something that you think everyone should watch?
I think that anybody that likes movies, River, and this is what I'm saying, needs to see this movie. Anybody that would ever want to make a movie or have an idea to make a movie should watch this movie to see just how bad it is. That's what I say.
It's similar to you, but what I say is, I agree with you that if you're wanting to make movies, you need to watch this just to see how bad you can make a movie. Because this is one of probably the worst movies I've seen, because I haven't seen all the ones that you guys have, so I don't really know.
Well, you're younger.
Yeah.
That's what I say. You're the younger generation. Things are different. You know, he would, if we ever did Citizen Kane, he'd never make it through.
Right.
What is Citizen Kane?
Well, that's it's probably one of the best films of all time.
Really?
Yeah, best. I mean, it goes down on most film critics' lists as one of the best films ever made. And I don't think you'd make it through.
Is it black and white?
Oh yeah, it's black and white.
Oh, okay. Then,
What do you think? I'm sure Lee's like, Citizen Kane,
Now, Citizen Kane's a great movie.
Yeah.
Nice.
This, however, is not.
This is the
It's not, but it has a charm to it.
This is the exact opposite.
There's people who like 50s sci-fi, but they're their favorite movies. And so there's it's more of a, it's not really about the movie, it's more about the mythology of the making of the movie. You know, maybe about what they do in the movie Ed Wood. You know, the movie Ed Wood is more important than the movie that Ed Wood's made. You know.
Yes. The movie.
Yeah, so it's more like, I don't know, like certain old punk records. It's like the band couldn't play. You know, like the Sex Pistols. Most of the like they would unplug certain band members, instruments because they sucked.
Yeah.
But it was more about their attitude than anything. You know. It's just, and like I said, it's more like the movie is almost the least important part of the movie. You know, in a way. And really, it's one of the few movies you can say that about. It's more about the fanhood of it, I guess, than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The gaffes go on and on. We won't even get into it, but yes, I think you're right. Like I think the movie is much more important than anything else.
The movie is more important than the movie.
Yes. That's it. Yeah. When you say Plan 9, you don't want to watch the movie, but you must watch the movie because it's Plan 9.
Yeah.
It's more you want to talk about the movie than you want to watch it.
Yeah, right. Which is why we're doing this podcast.
There you go.
That's true. That's very true.
So it is a must-watch for anybody that likes films.
I think
can appreciate cinema.
In the history of films.
Yeah, in the history
But,
of films.
what I think is, if they were to watch this, you need to know what you're going into.
You need to have an open mind.
Yeah, because you can't go into that, wanting to. You probably want to watch it for how bad you think it's going to be.
Right.
That's why you
most
watch it.
people are going to know going in that's how bad it is.
Garrick, let me ask you a question. Do you think most people, younger people, should watch the movie Ed Wood before they watch Plan 9?
I think so. Or yes, because nobody's going to read a book and read the Agony of Ecstasy, which is the Ed Wood the biography book. That's very good. You know, talks about his fetish with Angora sweaters and his alcoholism and everything. And there's a lot of people out there that say, like Bela's kids say, that Ed Wood was a parasite, and that they didn't have a friendship, but he would enable Bela with his morphine use and stuff like that, and to kind of get what he needed out of Bela. So there's all these different stories. So yes, I think the answer is you should probably watch Ed Wood's body of work and watch the Ed Wood movie, or read the biography to know. So going in, you know what you're getting ready to watch, and it's more of a study. It's more of a character study than anything else. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, which brings me to my movies. I watched Jailbait, I watched Bride of the Monster, and I watched Glenn or Glenda.
You watched 4 Ed Wood films.
I did watch 4 Ed Wood films.
Wow.
It was very tough. And I don't even have to get into specifics on it. They're all, honestly, Bride of the Monster is technically probably my favorite. I think he pulled that. It's not quite as big as Plan 9, but it's more controlled. I think he did a better job at it. But yes, I think that if I was going to recommend Ed Wood, I would say, hey, spend a few hours, watch them all, and then watch Ed Wood movie. Because that's what I told River. River watched Ed Wood after he watched Bride of the Monster, after he watched Plan 9, so he would understand exactly what it was.
And kind of who you're dealing with.
Yeah, who you're dealing with. Correct.
Because he wasn't just a film director. He was, some people would say, a absolute psychopath. I mean, he was just...
Oh, yeah.
He probably needed to be on some kind of medication for his... whatever was going on in his brain, and instead he self-medicated and was, like I say, a big alcoholic, and that kind of... I don't know. Once you get the whole kind of scope of who the man was, then it's easier to go back and watch his movies, and I don't know. It's easier to not be so hateful.
Yeah. Right.
You can still judge him, but...
He saw a lot of action in World War II, too. Like, he was a paratrooper in World War II. Yeah. I mean, and I think that is probably what had a lot to do with the alcoholism.
Yeah.
Is there was a lot of those guys who came back just completely different people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. PTSD wasn't a thing back then, even though it was a thing back then.
Right. Exactly.
There you go. All right. Well, I watched other movies, but go ahead. But I did watch Ed Wood, the movie. I mean, I did the whole embodiment. Watched all the films. They're all terrible, But again, yes, if I was to recommend, I would say watch them all, watch it all, and know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, what did you watch, Doug? Did you watch some other stuff?
I watched a few things. Hey. Hey. First things first. I watched Come to Daddy.
Oh man, I started that movie and then I got tied off.
Which is another New Zealand Canadian hybrid joint production by Ant Timpson, starring Elijah Wood and Stephen McHattie. And
what is it?
It's very strange, and it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. Going into it, basically, Elijah Wood gets a letter from his father that he hasn't seen since he was 5 years old.
Right.
And he says, he gives him directions out to this far out house out in the middle of nowhere that's overlooking this lake. And they immediately do not get along. They're like Elijah Wood's character, he's kind of like a braggart. He's like, oh yeah, I do this and I do that, and I'm big, and all the trying to name drop, and this guy's just like, don't give me your shit. And I initially really enjoyed the dynamic, and I was like, "This is interesting."
Like that argument right before he dies.
I want to see where this goes, and then it completely changes into something else.
He gets ready to stab him, and he has a heart attack or something, and then that's when I had to tone it off, and it goes into something completely different. Am I right?
It absolutely turns into something completely different. It's actually like a hostage and treasure hunting scenario. It's really odd. I can't say that it's bad. I didn't hate it. I just kind of hated the direction that it went into when it did, because I kind of felt like they had something building that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then it just completely, just like that, changes into something completely different. Yeah, it's okay. That's the best I can. I'll never watch it again, and I'm certainly not going to tell anybody to watch it.
Huh. Yeah, I'll watch some of it.
I mean, I like weird. Don't get me wrong, but this one goes to like next level. It's just I can't.
Right.
I can't stand it.
I made it through the trailer, and I thought that was about good enough.
And you made a good call on that, 100%. The second movie I watched was 2020's Capone by Josh Trank, starring Tom Hardy. Jesus.
Is it hard? Is it as bad as it looks?
So, do you guys remember the show Silver Spoons?
Yes!
Do you remember his buddy Froggy?
Yes!
Talk like this. Well, that's how Tom Hardy talks throughout the movie. And about 5 minutes in, I really just wanted to stop it because it's that bad. It's absolutely garbage. There's nothing. It's basically just taking this character that in a lot of circles has been revered over the years and reducing him down to a farting, spitting, burping, mumbling, incontinent, just shell of himself that lives in a world of complete psychosis where everything he thinks and sees is not real. He's run out of money. He has a couple of strokes. He's just. Wow. It's just. I mean, it's actually kind of sad that somebody decided to even do this, because I can understand taking like a legendary, taking a legendary character and kind of wanting to humanize them.
Right.
But this goes to next level. It doesn't humanize them. It destroys them. It just absolutely destroys them. And I just, it kind of almost plays out like he's haunted, but he's just batshit, and that's it. There's nothing, like, there's no redeemable anything about this movie.
Doug, I gotta commend you. You are the guy. You take them for the team, man.
I mean,
he really does.
Like, I got about 15 minutes in, and I was like, "Oh Lord, what have I gotten into?" And it just proceeds to just get worse and worse. And they talk about, like, he thinks that he has some money hidden somewhere, but the fact is, it was never found. And they basically sold off everything that he had, and his family, his sons, basically ended up with nothing. So it's an absolute do not watch. I mean, I just, God, ugh.
I don't understand how that Josh Trank guy keeps getting jobs. Because he spent the last 5 years explaining, coming up with new excuses why his Fantastic Four movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, every week there's a new story where he's like, "Oh, this happened." And it's like, "No, dude, it happened because you're terrible."
Yeah. Yeah, he's just... This, I can't really put it on the... Like, the look of the film and all is fine. It's just... I don't want to see any human being in the condition that Capone was in being, like, glorified, and that's the basis of your movie, is to talk about this guy that's not, not who he once was. I mean, I felt kind of nauseated watching it, like sickened that somebody would exploit this kind of story. It's not for anybody to watch. It's that bad.
Yeah.
And then on Garrick's opinion, I rented The Way Back, Gavin O'Connor's fucking movie with Ben Affleck. God damn.
Oh, really?
Oh, Jesus. It's so just, why did I do it?
What are you talking about? The end is good,
Okay,
man.
here's the deal. You got this guy who's a
Jesus.
former...
You don't like anything.
I didn't like anything.
I'm sure
I
you don't like that.
This guy, he's the town drunk. He was a badass basketball player back in the day, and then they wait until about halfway through the movie because he can't just be somebody that is just life's fallen on hard times for him. They have to throw you a bone and say, oh, the reason he's like this is because his son died of cancer. Of course he did. And then, he kind of teaches this team, and they somewhat get together.
I said like he was perfect.
It's
like
just...
he was perfect, Ben Affleck.
It's perfectly exactly what I knew it was going to be, which is just...
Suckball.
It was so bad that Jody got up halfway through it and was like, I can't watch this anymore.
What?
This is fucking terrible.
It is not that bad.
And I was like, she said, Doug, for all the times that you sit through a movie to a certain point and cut it off, she's like, I cannot believe that you're still watching this. That's how much she hates it.
Garrick, man. I'm doing it for Garrick.
I was like, I just want to get to the end and see what happens.
So I can rip Garrick's
And of course, the team makes the playoffs.
But he wasn't there. That's the best
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Oh, it was garbage, dude. Jeez. Ugh. I can't stand movies like this. It's like, it was so, like, you make movies like this, I think, to be uplifting. This one made me just want to go to sleep.
I never want to watch another basketball game ever.
Oh, it was just fucking garbage, dude. Oh, I hated it. And look, his performance is fine in it. But I'm pretty sure he's just playing himself. That's why it came across the way that it did. And then I think of all the movies I watched, this one might have been the worst one.
God, really? How could you watch it?
Lee Winnell's The Invisible Man from 2020.
Oh, God, you spent money on these. That's 3 that you spent money on.
I Redboxed them.
This got a 92. Is it really
It's
that bad?
Sleeping with the Hollow Man. It's Sleeping with the Hollow Man. And that's really all that... it starts there in this gorgeous, badass house, and this woman escapes, and then she's on the run from her husband, who you think is dead, and then he's got a brother, and there's an invisibility suit. I just absolutely hated it.
Doug, I think your picker's broke.
It's what they had at the Redbox, man, and all of it was just the worst. It did have some cool scenes later on, but man, I mean, the first hour of it, nothing happens.
The first half is a snore.
I mean, nothing happens. It's like she walks into a room and nothing's happening, but she hears something, and that's supposed to be captivating. It was just...
Have you seen this, Lee?
There's a shot of an empty chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Lee, you've seen this?
Yeah, I Redboxed it as well.
Oh, is it one of your movies this week?
It is.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, God almighty, I hated it. I just hated it. The way it just kept on going, and then, when it finally ends, I was like, oh, man, that's supposed to be cool. That's supposed to be slick or witty. It just... Nope. Nothing about it. I think The Invisible Man is a story that, just for whatever reason, it has to be... The story is the most important aspect of telling a story about somebody who's fucking invisible. And if your story isn't very good, then the fact that this guy can become invisible, it's like I didn't even care about it.
Then it should be invisible.
I hated it, man. I just hated it. The only other thing I watched was on Netflix. I watched the the Epstein expose that is on there.
Filthy Rich.
And, it just...
What a piece of trash.
Well, it's one of those stories about a guy that has enough money to basically do whatever he wants for an extended period of time. And although plenty of people knew about it, nobody did a thing about it. And, it's sad. Really.
So so with that said, let me get into my movies.
Okay.
All right, and there's a reason. Sorry, Lee. Normally I'll let you go first, but this is perfect. I did.
Do yours?
Huh? No. I got
that was just the first. That was the first level.
I watched.
I didn't realize he had volumes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I watched. All right, so I had an exciting couple of weeks. I watched Filthy Rich, and then I watched the Gabriel Fernandez.
Yeah.
Documentary, and I watched Who Killed Malcolm X.
Okay.
Okay.
You watched? I started Who Killed Malcolm X. I didn't make it all the way in.
Here's the thing. I also watched Hamlet, the 4-hour masterpiece that it is, and it is 100% every shot. It's the exact opposite of Plan 9 from Outer Space. But what? Why? Whatever.
Cinematique.
Yeah. Listen.
Oh my God, Garrick.
Dude, just let me get to my point before you start ripping me apart. That's
okay.
4 hours of Hamlet, Shakespeare, 4 hours. And what Netflix, out of 3 documentaries, they could have condensed all 3 of those documentaries into 2.5 hours and would have been fine. These things now, is that the new format now? Let's drag this out, make 6 episodes out of this crap when it could be 3. We could do it in an hour and a half. I watched Nixon. It's 3 hours and 50 minutes. The Nixon Netflix documentary would be 10 freaking 2-hour episodes. Like, I don't get it. What? Is this the new thing? And is it even that good? Like, do you remember, how much of the Filthy Rich do you remember?
Oh, I mean, I remember all of it.
All the interviews and all the different women. I mean, they did 16 different women. Like, they could have done 4. Well, what were the key ones? The ones that finally decided, hey, let's take them down. The one that he took to the island. Hey, let's take them down. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, they just drank. Like, Gabriel Fernandez, his parents killed him. They drug it out for 8 episodes.
Yeah.
8 episodes. We already knew he got the death penalty. Like, do we really? We know he got. I mean, how many times do we have to see he got beat, and how many social workers we have to talk to and interview? It's just, it drags out. It sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah. I think there is something to that. You make something, I think that a powerful thing like these subjects, if you can condense it into like two 1-hour episodes or 1 2-hour or what have you, I think that you force yourself to condense it and make it as powerful as you can make it. But when you drag it out like that and try and show every little singular detail, I think you dilute it.
Right, and it's all stock footage. Like, how many drone shots over a freaking island do I have to see while somebody's talking?
Yeah.
And shots, I mean, when they talk about Florida, they would do neighborhood shots, dude, while this guy's talking, but cut it out. God, hang myself.
Yeah.
So everybody, the filmmakers that made these 3 movies, or these 3 documentaries that drug out over 6-7 hours. I also watched another documentary that was perfect. I'll give it a 98. It's called LA 92. It has to do with the times going on now. I've watched it. All it is, it's Los Angeles after the Rodney King verdict, where those police officers got off, and it's just these documentarians put out a billboard, said, hey, anybody that was down in Inglewood and Compton and all those places that filmed all these riots and all this stuff, we're paying good money for this footage. And he literally put together an hour and a half of some of the most provocative documentary footage and the way they told the story. And he did it in an hour. He didn't do a bunch of interviews.
Yeah.
He didn't do a bunch of crap. He did great music, laid in the story, and it was perfect.
And if he would have made it into 4 1-hour episodes, it would have definitely diluted the story.
It would have definitely diluted. It was jam-packed, and it was perfect, man.
I got you.
It was perfect. So there you go. That's what I watched.
Okay.
I know nobody wants me to review Hamlet or Nixon, so...
I would love for you to review Hamlet.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah?
Macbeth is my favorite, but Hamlet is great.
It just felt like a David Lean film, man. It is what cinema is all about. It's exactly.
Oh, Lee just fell out of his chair.
It even has an intermission. It's like, dude,
was it actually filmed up Kenneth Branagh's ass? Because that's where his head probably was. Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Oh, God,
did you rent it?
No, I bought it.
You bought? How much did you pay for it?
$12.
$12. For $3, you can rent Kurosawa's Throne of Blood, which is his version of Hamlet, and it's an hour and 50 minutes, and it's way better. And it isn't because like 90% of Kenneth Branagh's movies, the movie's about Kenneth Branagh.
Well,
he made a Frankenstein movie where he walks around shirtless 90% of the movie. Whenever he makes something that people hate, then next time he makes something that sucks.
This was the last movie that had an intermission. It felt like Dr. Zhivago. It felt like the bridge over River Kwai. That's why I like it. It's everything. It's everything I want in a movie. Everything. It's real sense.
The 4 Hour Hamlet is everything you want in a movie.
Yes.
God. There we go.
Lee's like, this is my last episode.
God, I'm done with this.
Oh my God.
I'll watch that. I'll watch your Kurosawa one day. I will.
Okay, you watch the Polanski one? It's good too. It's, fuck. I mean, Kenneth Branagh just bothers me. Like I say he's made 3 movies that I really like. None of which are his 4 Hour Hamlet.
I loved it. I love it. It's fantastic. It is one of the operas of cinema. It'll go down in my top 20 of opera cinemas of all time.
In your what?
Top 20 of opera cinemas of all time.
All right, man.
Hey, that's the difference between you and me, pal.
Without a doubt it is. We agree on that shit.
Well, what did you watch?
Oh, fuck. Let me look. I can't even remember now. My brain hurts because you're thinking about the 4 Hour Hamlet.
All right, cool. Whatever I did.
Let me start. Okay, this is a movie I didn't watch all the way through.
Oh, was it that bad?
In researching Plan 9, I came across a movie called Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, which you can watch on YouTube.
Oh my God.
And it is way less entertaining than Plan 9 from Outer Space.
What is it called?
It's a fake Martin and Lewis movie.
It's called Bela Lugosi Fights a Gorilla or something?
Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla.
Oh my God.
And when Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin were like the biggest thing, in Hollywood in like the 40s and 50s, I guess some producers, they were like, we should make one of those, but without everything that people like. So they got a guy who kind of looks like Jerry Lewis and a guy who kind of looks like Dean Martin. And it is just atrocious. Whatever charm Plan 9 has, this does not have.
I need to write this down, Dad. Do you have a pen? I want to watch this and see how bad it is.
And apparently, at one point, Jerry Lewis tried to have all the prints destroyed, which is understandable.
Wait, was Jerry Lewis in it?
No, there's a guy who looks like Jerry Lewis.
Oh, okay, but Jerry Lewis hated it so badly.
Yeah, he basically tried to say it was plagiarizing him and get it destroyed, but he couldn't.
Wow.
And other than that, I watched The Invisible Man, which I will agree with Doug that the first half is very slow and very boring. I will say that I understand why they made it this way, because a movie where a guy drinks a potion and turns invisible now, I don't know would necessarily work now. Like the suit being sort of an optical camera thing makes more sense. But yeah, Doug's right. It's sleeping with the enemy. That's all it is. It's just sleeping with the enemy.
Sleeping with the Hollow Man.
Yeah. And I also watched the Grudge reboot.
Oh no!
Golly,
which
you guys need to get out more, both of you.
Listen, Hamlet, why don't you calm down? You got 4 hours to kill on that. You shouldn't be giving that advice.
All right.
And here's the thing: the cast is great. Like, it's got William Sadler in it. Like, but it's just the same. I mean, like I've never been into these Japanese ghost movies. I'll be honest with you. But even my girlfriend was like, I don't like. What's the point of this?
It doesn't bring anything new to the
That's
to
exactly
the mythology.
what she said. And so I watched that begrudgingly. Pun intended. And other than that, I watched, I guess you'd say it was a mini-series on Amazon called The White Horse. It's based on an Agatha Christie story. And it's got Rufus Sewell in it, who was in Dark City and a bunch of other stuff. And it's the thing I thought was interesting about it was basically it's like sort of witchcraft as assassination. Like these three witches, like if you someone like you dislike, you could go just give them the person's name, and they would do their little witchcraft thing, and then like 2 weeks later, the person would have a heart attack. And sort of what do you do when you find out you're on these women's list? You know, and it was very well done. Obviously, you know, that's sort of real classy type of British television that, you know, they make of it. I mean, I thought they call it a series, but it's only 2 parts. It's 2 hours long, but it's 2 individual episodes. Or maybe it's closer to 4. You know, it's a 2-parter, you know, but very well done.
What's it on?
You know, Amazon. It's an Amazon original. I think they co-produced it with the BBC.
Yeah.
It's called The White Horse.
The White Horse.
And the only other thing I watched besides that was the new Netflix series Space Force.
Oh yes. What I did? I got 10 minutes in and was like, you know what? This isn't going to be for me.
Well, here's the problem. I think people wanted it to be The Office because it's, you know, from the creator of The Office, and it's not. It's a completely different type of show. The best thing about it is Steve Carell and John Malkovich palling around. Just them together, like, yelling at each other that's the show.
I heard it's pretty good. I mean, the 30-minute episodes.
My son is the biggest Office fan ever.
Really?
It's all he watches. It's his favorite thing in the world. And so when we knew this was coming out, and I told him, you know, Steve Carell's in it, and it's by Greg Daniels, that, you know, he was super excited on Thursday when he came to the house. He's like, Daddy, I hadn't watched it. I'm like, I hadn't either. Let's sit down and watch it. And we watched the first episode, and he's like, I'm good. He's like, this isn't funny. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Let's give it another episode. So we watched the second episode, and it's just... It's like they're going out of their way to try and be funny, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't come natural like a lot of the humor from The Office, and I just I can't say I was really disappointed in it, but just, you know, some things work, some things don't. This just didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
See, I've never been a big Office fan, so it didn't matter to me.
Yeah. He did make another show that's on Prime called Upload.
Yeah.
Which is a much better show. It just seems like it's more well crafted, thought out. It's very interesting, right. Kind of about like it's like in the future you die, and you can either just die or you can have your consciousness uploaded into this kind of vast community with all these other people, and it's very interesting. It was funny. We watched the whole thing, and he loved that. But yeah. Space Force, to me, man, it just, I don't know, it just didn't work. But Malkovich,
it's definitely not like
is
a
the
laugh
man.
out loud comedy,
no.
Which is what I think people wanted.
Yeah. How much of it did you watch?
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, you already done with it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're just like 30-minute episodes, but
yeah.
Just, man. I'll get back on it, you know, at some point.
Watch.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right.
Well, River, what did you watch?
I'm gonna start with one of the oldest ones I've watched, 1931's Dracula.
Okay.
I mean, it was okay. Some parts I felt creeped out, surprisingly, to be a 1931 film. I felt creeped out at some parts. Bela Lugosi just probably... I think he did so good as that. I don't know, because he made it feel so, like what's the word for it? Like so creepy and more Dracula-like than.
That's where he's famous. That's how he got famous.
Yeah, that was like
Dracula and the monster movies.
So yeah, that's really all I have to say about Dracula. It was good. I liked it. Probably will watch that again sometime. Then I watched probably one of my favorite movies, the entire thing, 1980s Flash Gordon.
Yeah! Woo! This is the only reason I let him on the show. It was like, oh, you watch Flash Gordon? No, I'm just kidding, buddy. Go ahead.
It's probably one of my favorite movies from 1980s. I normally like the newer movies, but this is probably one of my favorite
from the old time movies. It's kind of like we grew up with that.
The costumes looked great. They were beautiful. Like the costumes were awesome. The settings were awesome.
Yeah.
It was just
sweet.
It was
kid who could appreciate Flash Gordon. Oliver liked Flash Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The campiness of it, like the silliness of it, you were all fine with.
Like the Falcon people, whenever they're
yeah, it's awesome. All right, what else?
I'm gonna go to that one last. So then I watched Ed Wood.
Yes. It explains a little bit.
It makes me have more respect for Ed Wood now.
Correct, but I already saw his notes. He said it's a little slow.
Yeah, it is a little slow.
That's the difference. See, that movie to me it's on my top 20 of all time. And it's
I know it is.
But
higher or lower than Hamlet?
Huh? Oh, it's higher than Hamlet.
Oh, okay. Surprisingly enough.
I mean, it's pretty good because it talks about how he thought his thought process was with this movies. He was passionate that he wanted to make movies.
Yep.
And the one scene I was like, one of my favorite scenes was when he went on the phone with the people that watched the movie. He was like, "Oh, it's one of the worst movies you've ever seen. Well, my next one's going to be good." So he thought that he still had chances to make a better movie.
He was always very optimistic.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make movies. And that's why you got to appreciate the guy, even though it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then I watched 2020's Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, and Brie Larson. It was probably my favorite film we watched this week. It was great. It was emotional. It was a great setup. It
has to do with racism, huh?
Yeah, because
what's the story of the movie? I don't know it.
Okay, so it's about this 18-year-old girl who gets killed, and this prisoner says, "If you take time off my prison sentence, I'll tell you who it is." Because something set up at a laundromat, and they just got in the car, and he blamed it on him. So he put to get executed, and this lawyer, Michael B. Jordan, is trying to get him out and claim his sentence because he's got a big family, and he knows that he didn't do it. So the entire thing is just an emotional, like how white people treated black people back in the old days, and it's just sad. It just shows how bad we really treated these people, and it's.
Well, let's go. Yeah, and it's we're not going to talk about the times, but the cool thing on Amazon right now, you can actually watch
it for free.
A slew of these of movies that touch on that subject. That they have a slew of them for free that you can rent and watch.
You can rent it on iTunes for free too.
Yeah, you can check them out, man. Warner Brothers, I think, released it. Just said, "Hey, I watched another one, but I'm going to use it next week because it has to
Is this movie based on fact? Or,
I don't know.
Or is it?
You know,
or is it
yeah, it is a true story.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds a lot like Hurricane.
Yeah, like her. Yes.
You know.
Oh, what a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, well, man, that's Ed Wood for us. That's science fiction, and we finished it with the flat Ed Wood. We're going to do the one shot next week. Cover another controversial filmmaker, Spike Lee. The last time we did a Spike Lee movie, we were all very, very, very satisfied. Yeah. What do you think about this one coming up? The Five Bloods.
I think last week, man, I don't have the best feeling about it. Just based off the trailer.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'll go into it eyes wide open. But
optimistic.
Yeah, I trust me. I want it to be good. I really do. I just, just simply based off the trailer, we'll see.
We normally do our shows have been a little bit short, but that's the reason for that is we usually do a little department of news, and we have not been able to really. There hasn't really been any news because there hasn't been any production going on. Right. Nobody's doing anything because of the pandemic, but the California governor did say that June 12th. Everybody can go back to work. So the gears will start turning and churning and turning, here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll have, probably new stuff, lots of new. Is he gone? What's he doing?
I have a news story.
Oh yeah, do you? I'm in.
The last 2 weeks, the number one movie in theaters, which has only been a handful of drive-ins, has been this horror movie called The Wretched.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard.
It's the only new movie that's been out, and this past weekend they passed the $1 million mark as far as profit in just drive-ins.
That's amazing.
Really? Where did you? That's awesome.
Weirdly enough, this movie would have probably just went on VOD and made $18,000 had the pandemic not happened. But now it's probably well into profit by now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it yet. No,
I think you can rent it or something.
Hounds Drive-In has it as a double feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say all drive-ins have it, and that's why it's doing.
That's crazy. The drive-in is coming back because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. The Hounds is doing graduations like every Friday night now, and then doing their Saturday and all their week. It's crazy. That's crazy, man.
What is this movie called again?
The Wretched.
The Wretched?
The Wretched. Well, believe it or not, Doug has our next manager's choice.
Once again, that's like 4 in a row,
That's
right?
4 in a row,
right?
Well, I was going to give you guys one, but I'll wait till next week.
Okay. I found this, I love finding good documentaries to watch. And
that aren't 6 hours, 7 hours long?
Well, I prefer, just feature length.
Yes.
And I found a feature length on Hulu from 2019 called Wrinkles The Clown.
Oh gosh.
And this
I see that one.
This is a very strange story. There's a man down in Naples, Florida, and he has stickers with his phone number and his face. It just says Wrinkles the Clown plastered all over town. And basically he is for hire for, let's say you have a 9-year-old that's not listening, and the dad's like, if you don't eat your vegetables, Wrinkles the Clown's going to come around here.
This is for real?
This is real. And so he has been used to scare children. But the documentary itself and between what is real and what is not real and the story that they tell is very, very interesting.
That's what I was going to ask you, Doug. Is it a documentary or is it a movie?
It's a documentary.
So this is real. It's not like Spinal Tap.
Doesn't that make it a movie?
Well, here's what they do. So they say that they are following around the real Wrinkles the Clown, and then towards the end you find out that because people around town say, oh, it's this 65-year-old man, and he lives in a van down by the river, and he comes out and he does all this creepy stuff. But the fact is, the guy that they're following around is an actor, and the story behind this guy is not real, and then the real guy comes on at the end and kind of sets the story straight, and how he's kind of built this mythology using videos and all this stuff. I mean, it's really interesting, dude.
I will check it out.
It really is. Like a couple of years ago when down in South Carolina outside of Greenville, remember they were having all these clown sightings?
Yes.
All of this is not by his intentions, but all of it is kind of connected. It's really strange. And if you have, I've never been a big fan of clowns. I don't know if it's for poltergeist or what have you, but I just have never liked clowns. This will make you hate them even more. But it's very creepy. It's really interesting. It's called Wrinkles the Clown. It's on Hulu. Highly recommend it.
Is this kid friendly?
Yeah, you can watch it.
I want to watch that.
It's funny. I see that all the time.
Well, I kept seeing
crazy
it.
Look, yeah.
I kept seeing it, and I'm like, "What is this? Is this a documentary?" Like, because it doesn't look like a documentary. But once you get into it, and then you need to watch. Like, you have to watch it to the end. Because if I would have watched it for an hour and turned it off, I would have not known what it really is and how this guy really kind of made this whole thing. It's pretty interesting.
Wrinkles the Clown is our manager's choice. Yes, sir.
Well, it's a funny story about this. I saw this on my computer. It has Hulu on it. And I don't know, because I couldn't get to sleep. I was in the middle of the night looking through Hulu. I come across this Wrinkles the Clown thing, and I shut my computer off immediately.
That picture
it's scary. It scared me.
I'm going to check it out. I've been surfing, like you said. I keep seeing it. It's in the top. And I'm like, dude, that looks.
I mean, it's this guy's phone number, and like kids are calling him, and they're like, and he's like, hey, Wrinkles. I mean, it's a really odd thing that this guy's done, and it needs to be, like, more people need to see it to kind of understand it.
Right.
Because watching the first 30, 45 minutes, I was like, this is like, what is this? But once you kind of understand what it really is, it's a social experiment, basically.
Right.
And just the links that this guy's gone to kind of build this mythology is very unique and interesting, and it's pretty cool.
All right, I'll check it out then. Wrinkles the Clown. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back. Garrick is taking a week. He has to go to the beach, so we will be back next week for the new Spike Lee film, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, guys, for being here. Go watch the 4-hour Hamlet.
Do not.
Just turn your TV off and look at the blankness.
Thanks for listening to the Tales from the Video Store podcast. If you enjoy our show every week, take out a couple of minutes and write us a review. Simply go to your podcast icon, click on it, scroll in your library till you find the purple and pink neon sign, click on it, scroll down past our episodes, hit the stars, write a review. It really helps us out. It helps us deliver a new show to you each week. And again, thank you so much for listening to Tales from the Video Store podcast. For more information, go to videostoretales.com. Thanks again.